Hey everybody, welcome to the CNC with Dave show. I'm running a little bit behind tonight, as you can see. I've had all kinds of computer issues, and as you can tell, I'm not in my usual location. Back here in my office, using my desktop. I've had one laptop. I think I left it on without having the power cord on, so I ran the battery all the way down, and it's having to charge. And the other one, right in the middle of about Russ's Clarity show, it decided to do a Windows update, and I guess it's one of those big ones because it's only at about 40%. I just looked a minute ago, so I apologize for getting a late start here, but don't worry, we'll probably run a little over to make up for it, right, guys?
Yep.
That's typically our style. So I'm trying to pull up here on YouTube so I can see the chat. Richard's going to try to watch the chat for me. Mark Lindsay, that normally watches the chat for me, is not going to be with us tonight. I believe he's out of town. So we'll do the best we can here with what we got. And I got quite a bit to talk about, actually. That's why I wanted to try to figure out a way to get the show on the air here. First off, I just got a couple announcements. Well, let's do the introductions first, because that probably won't take too long here, since looks like we're running shorthanded tonight. So Juan, you want to start us off with the introductions?
Sure. My name is Juan Lopez. I live in Dallas, Texas, and you can find me on YouTube under G Code One Design. I'm also on Instagram and on Facebook. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Juan. I know you're a loyal regular here, and I appreciate that. So next we've got Peter from the other side of the globe.
Yeah, and Dave, hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm Peter. I'm from New Zealand. You can find me on YouTube under the name of CNC Nuts, and on Facebook and Twitter.
Peter from. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm still having some issues trying to get all this stuff going here. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for being on the show tonight. Richard, you want to introduce yourself there, buddy?
Yeah. Name's Rich Moeller, San Jose, California. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube under Shade Tree CNC.
Okay, thanks for being on here, Richard. Okay, I think I've got this stupid thing muted here, so maybe I'll quit jumping all over everybody here. Okay. It's one of those nights, folks. Okay, let me go off with a few announcements here, and then we'll get started taking some questions or talk about whatever anybody wants to talk about. But I did want to give a shout out to Al Forte. He usually watches the show, I think. I don't know if he's over there in the chat, because I'm trying to look at it on my phone here. I don't know if he may be out celebrating, because today's his birthday. So I just want to say happy birthday to Al Forte. Hey, Patrick. I see Patrick's out there. Steve Bush, Nathan Anderson, Paul Camp,
Jerry Brown.
Jerry Brown. Hey, Jerry. How you doing, buddy? Rich McIntosh. Okay, and speaking of Richard McIntosh, I can't even say his name right. I wanted to mention again that Richard, who is his YouTube channel, Sawdust Maker, and Zach Manring, also known as Southern Ginger, and myself are going to be doing a meet and greet at the Woodcraft west of Atlanta. It's that's what their website is called. Woodcraft west of Atlanta. It's at 351 Thornton Road in Lithia Springs, Georgia. So if you're out that way, next Friday, I'm probably going to be there around 9 o'clock. I think they open at 9, and I'll probably be there from 9 until lunchtime or so. And and you can come out and meet myself or Richard and Zach and shoot the bull with us. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up again. Let's see. I think I had one other thing that I was going to do. Actually, this is something I've been wanting to ask this question to the folks out there watching. And I always forget, but I got it wrote down now and I'm thinking about it, so I'm going to ask it. I was just wondering, when you guys are out here watching this show, or if you're watching a video, any one of our videos, Juan, Richard, myself, Peter, I'm just wondering how many of you watch them with somebody that's younger than, say, 18 years old, if there's any kids that are involved in the CNC thing. So if you got your kids sitting there watching this show with you tonight, mention that in the comments. And I was just curious if we have any youngsters that are watching the show and are starting to get into CNC. And I hope so, because I think that's pretty cool if they are. Okay, I see we have Matt. I'm not sure how you say his last name. Matt Peel, maybe. He says, my kids love it. Mm-hmm. Cool. My 12-year-old son shows some interest. That's Nathan Longfellow. Good. All right. Well, that's good to know. I've often wondered that, and at the end of every show, I go, oh, I always forget to ask that. So, all right, I guess that's all I got. Richard, do we have any questions over there in the chat?
No, we were pretty much talking about the lightning strike there on Russ's show, but
yeah. Patrick says his dog watches, so I'm glad to know Ice is a fan. Patrick, that's cool.
We should put a light feed on Rocky now. Have Rocky join us.
He's laying right here beside me. Because he pretty much goes wherever I go. He's probably wondering what I'm doing in here in the office, but Russ Meadows, you kind of snuck in here late. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself too?
Yeah, Russ Meadows, Facebook and on Instagram, Rusty Nails Woodshop. You can find me any one of those places.
Okay, good to have you on here, Russ. And you know what I'm going to ask next. We got to get the Russ Meadows GarageWorks CNC update.
I'm in a holding pattern because I ran out of them 1/2-inch bolts, and I have to go get a tap to do. I'm at the part where I have to do the modification.
Okay. Well, I
haven't got the tap and the drill bit yet.
I got you. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're going to go ahead and do that mod before you put it together. That's that's a good thing. And Juan, I know you did the mod recently. Have you got yours back up running?
I just got it up running today. I haven't cut anything with it, but it looks nice and smooth so far.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's just a definite improvement. Makes it where you don't have to worry about that thing loosening up at all.
Right.
Even if it wasn't before, now you for sure don't have to worry about it. So.
Right.
Okay. I see it.
Okay, question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you've got a question from Phil. He's asking why the gear reduction on your A-axis?
It's not that I put that on there, Phil. That's part of when I bought that rotary table, it came with a little knob where you turn it manually, because that's really what it was for. It really isn't for a CNC. And what I did is I took that knob off, and I'm using the shaft where that knob goes to connect the coupler for the stepper motor. If I wanted to get rid of that, I would have to figure out some kind of way of running a shaft straight out the back of the rotary table. And I haven't even looked at that. In fact, if any of y'all have caught my videos that I've done in the past, I don't know, 3-4 days, something like that, I was having some, I guess, an issue trying to figure out, just a brain fart really on my part, trying to figure out how to get the thing to run right, because when I set the the feed rate at 80 inches a minute, which is typically what I would cut something at, or it's just the speed I like to use. Because of that gearing, the x-axis would move at 80 inches a minute, which was fine. But then when it came to a point where that a-axis needed to rotate, it was just crawling because of that gear reduction. So what I finally figured out, and it's kind of like a oh-ha moment, when the light bulb came on. I'm thinking, well, why didn't I think of that earlier? But really, when all three axes are moving together, and I'm talking about the Xylotex kits. I don't know if it would work the same with everything. I'm assuming it would. But, when everything's moving together, it's going to move at the slowest, whatever the slowest one is. That's what they're all going to move at. So what I had to do to get that a-axis, because that gearing is, I don't even know what it is. It's like 6-to-1 or something. It's, it's really a lot slower. So what I had to do was I actually had to set the steps per unit not the steps per unit, but the velocity. I had to set it at like 2,500. And that's because of that gearing. And if I set it for 2,500, that would make it rotate comparable to what I wanted it to do. And so then I went into my, somebody had asked me on a comment in one of the videos if I set up a different machine profile. And yeah, I did. I set up a different machine profile and, set one up just for the rotary axis so that I wouldn't have to change settings back and forth. So I set the velocity for the x-axis down from 200 to 100. That way, now when I'm running those programs, running at a-axis, the a-axis is turning fairly quick. It's not just crawling like it was, and the x-axis is moving at 100 inches a minute. And what I did to get the code to come out right, because like I said, if I set the code or set the in the VCarve Pro tool database where you set the feed rates for that tool, if I had 80 inches a minute, well then when you post it, it puts everything at 80 inches a minute, which is again going to make that a-axis just crawl. So I actually told it to set the speed for that tool at 2,500 inches a minute, which means that it's going to put an F2500 every place that it's, needs that F command, and it will make the A-axis move faster now. But because I lowered the X-axis from 200 to 100, the X-axis won't ever go faster than 100. So it's all good. It works. They all work, really well together now. And if you watch the videos that I put, I just put one up today and I put one up yesterday, and you can see that A-axis isn't crawling. So I hope that makes sense. I know, it may be.
That doesn't.
I kind of went around the barn a couple of times just to get that answer out about the gear reduction. But that's what all the gear reduction was about. That's just where the knob happened to be, and that's what I decided to use to connect the coupling. Because once I pulled that knob off, there was already a shaft there that's ready to go.
So, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. The Xylotex box is set up for being at 16, right?
Yes,
and
116.
And you don't have the ability to change that.
If you want to, I don't remember when I did the show and we looked in that box, but I think you can change it. But again, you'd avoid the warranty per Jeff at Xylotex because of having to open up a box to do it. But I think there's little jumpers in there that you just change to change it. Like if you want to change it to 8th or 4th or whatever.
Yeah, I build my own controllers, so I have 4 separate motor drivers. I've got 2 of them set at like 16, and then 1 set at full step.
Yeah.
So.
And do you just have like a little jumper, and that's what determines what it's set at?
They're little flip switches on the side of the driver.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't remember if it's switches or not. Now that you mentioned that, maybe it is switches. I was thinking it's those little jumpers that you move on a certain pin, but I could be wrong. It may be a switch. I don't know. I'd have to open up the box again and look, and I don't ever mess with it. Like I said, I leave mine set at 1/16 the way they come. My old Sidewinder in my shop, that, you know, I bought that Xylotex kit probably 8-9 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. And it has the 269 ounce steppers, and it's set at 1/8. And I probably talked about this before in videos and maybe on this show, but that's where a lot of confusion came in, because 2 years ago, or a little over 2 years ago now, when I did that video series, how to build a CNC router on a shoestring budget, I had purchased a Xylotex kit, and it was 1/8 step. So all the steps per unit would be 3,200. And then I did a video at the end of that, you know, towards the end of that series, I did a video where I'm showing the screenshots and showing everybody how to set it up and all that. And right after that, Jeff started selling those kits at 1/16 step. So everybody would get their kit and they'd get their machine set up and start running. They'd go, man, this thing's not right. I'm trying to cut a 4-inch square and it's cutting a 2-inch square. And that's what it was, is, you know, at the time I did that video to tell everybody how to set it up, I had 3,200. And then right after that, he started selling them at 1/16 step, and it needed to be 6,400. So, and he's still selling them like that now for the, you know, for the last 2.5 years or so. So that's where a lot of confusion comes in with people that will go watch that old video. And there's notes in the video, and you look at the comments, you know, you can see where I'm kind of telling people, hey, you know, you got to take into consideration this video's old, and right after that he changed it, so it should be 6,400 and all. But yeah, that's
I know I worked it out when I built my rotary axis, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it's not 80 inches per minute for the rotating axis. I think it might be degrees or something like that, which is why it's so slow compared to everything else.
You're probably right, Peter, because there's a little box in Mach 3 when you go to the general configuration
Minutes.
There's like A, B, and C, and then there's a little box you can check or uncheck, and it says A axis is angular. Well, of course, now before I've always unchecked that box because I don't want the A axis to be angular, but in this case, now that I'm using a rotary axis, I do want it to be angular. So you're probably right. It's probably thinking 80 degrees a minute or whatever, but it's like a really crawl. I mean, it really, if you saw any of those first little videos, like the little 15, 20-second videos I put on Facebook, you'll notice that the x-axis it's going a pretty good clip, but then it would get down to the end and get ready to turn, and that thing would just crawl, and then it would take several seconds to get those few degrees turned, and then it would, then the X would take back off. So that's how I thought I can't run the thing like that. It's too slow. I got to figure out what it is. And then I don't know why I didn't think of it. I thought, well, all I got to do is to get the code. At first, I just went in and edited the code, just did a find and replace all the F80s with F2500s. And then it worked. And I thought, okay, well, now the only way to get the post processor to generate the code with that large speed in there is to tell it for that tool. And then I just have to reduce the velocity on the x-axis so that it doesn't try to go, of course it would probably still work at 200 but I don't really like to cut it that fast, especially, you're cutting something, this long. It doesn't take very long to get from one end to the other. So I wanted to make sure I would be able to stop it if anything went wrong. But the little, rotary axis thing I made, it's working like a charm. I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I did, well, this is the one if anybody's seen the video I did today, I did the text, wrapping text and I'm just using a 90-degree V-bit. So I did that one today, and the other day I didn't shoot a video of this one, but I did this this little spiral thing. So I mean, you can tell by looking, it's all working fine, and now it's just a matter of me getting more familiar with the Vectric software. Of course, I'm using VCar Pro for the most part, so I'm having to. I spent probably an hour and a half or so today watching some of the tutorials again. They've got some excellent tutorials, and then they also have one on Aspire too, because that's where you can really do the fancy spindles and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I'm just trying to learn it because I've never really fooled around with it much. 4 years ago, I made that little, that real crude little rotary axis that I showed on the show the other week, and did some wrapping of text just to kind of see how it worked. But I never really have used it much since then. So. Have we got any other questions over there?
Well, I had a couple questions in there. One, it scrolled by so far that I don't remember who asked it, but they were asking, now that they've bought your kit, they were wondering how much more did they have to spend in order to get a machine?
Well, I mean, it varies. You know, we can go through the numbers of the stuff I spec, but you know, and again, it depends on how big a machine they're going to build or how small. You know, if they're going to shrink it up, like maybe they don't have as much room and they want to make a much smaller one, then they won't have to buy near as much lead screw and you know, stuff like that. But the Xylotex kit, if they buy the Xylotex kit, it's going to cost the same no matter how big a machine they build. It's $395 plus shipping. And I think usually when I order one, it ends up being about $415. You know, with I think he charges 25 or $30 shipping, something like that. The lead screws, you know, again, if you built it just to the plans the way they are without modifying the size or anything, you're going to end up probably buying three 6-foot lead screws, and they're going to be, I haven't checked recently, I'm assuming they're the same. They're like $40.52 a piece from MasterCar. Of course, you'll have some shipping there too. The Acme nuts and the couplers, if you buy those that I spec out, which is from Dumpster CNC, they are, I believe, and you go there, as soon as you go to the homepage, you look over on the left-hand side, and you'll see where it says Dave Gatton Sidewinder CNC kit. He still calls it the Sidewinder, but I mean, he made that kit up years ago when I was buying him all the time. So that's going to be $157.50, I think. He does give you a little bit of a price break because he's got it in a kit, you know, a few bucks or so. And then, of course, you'll have, I think, $8 shipping on that. So it's going to be about I'm thinking it's like $163 or something to get it shipped to my house. Let's see what else. And then the rest of the stuff is really just kind of miscellaneous wood screws or deck screws. You know, very little plywood, because when you get one of my kits, really the only thing you're doing is putting the you know, making the gantry pieces, which are just the simple rectangle cuts. So again, you know, probably less than a half sheet of plywood there, I would think. So I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. If you were to include a table, you know, 2x4s, and the other half of the sheet of plywood, you're probably talking lumber wise, less than $200.
Oh yeah. Cause I haven't really added it up. I know when I did the other build, I kept track of every little receipt and every little thing I did. But this one is, you know, a lot less expensive, or at least I think it is, because I didn't use any dowel. Well, other than the couple of dowel nuts I used for the in the Z plate and the uprights to hold the bearings up. Other than that, and I already had those, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think I did a listing some time ago. I might have even posted it on Facebook as that I took your kit and the Xylatex box and kind of added that all up, figured in a table, and the grand total as I vaguely remember, came to about $1,000.
Yeah, that's what I usually tell people. Depending on how good a shopper you are, maybe somewhere between $800 and maybe $1,000, or maybe $1,200 on the high end if you want to use some really high dollar plywood or something like that.
Well, I was figuring the Mach 3 license, an old XP computer off of eBay, and if you don't have those things, you got to buy them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think I see another questions on there. Let's see. Somebody's saying, who is this? Matt Peel is saying, Dave, my router bits are getting hot. Is that normal, or do you think something is wrong? And he says, I mean hot. Well, I don't know what you're cutting and how long. They're going to get pretty warm. I mean, it depends on how long how long are we talking about?
Yeah.
I see Richard says shorten up the depth of cut. Maybe that's it. Maybe you're trying to cut. Maybe you're getting a little healthy on the
Too deep
or something.
Too deep, too slow can be a problem too.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if you're cutting plastics. If the material's melting on the end of the tip, you want to slow the router, increase the feed rate. What you want is unmelted chips. So you want to look at the chips that are coming off your router. And if they look like they're melting, you need to kind of slow things down RPM wise and increase your feed rate and perhaps shorten your depth of cut.
Whether he's using a fixed rate router or variable, who knows that too? Can have something to do with it.
Yeah, there's
$20 at Harbor Freight, you get one of the
yeah, but I'm saying the person that's asking the question.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really quite a few variables that can change.
Yes. Mach 3 does work on Windows 7.
Personally, yeah. And, I see that question pop up all the time. I have not found an operating system, Windows-based, that Mach 3 doesn't run on. I've seen people say, oh, it doesn't work with 10 or it doesn't work with 8. Yeah, it does. I use it all day long. What they don't quite understand is the 64-bit machines can also run 32-bit programs. Exactly.
If you start looking at your file structure, you'll find that when you install Mach 3, it ends up in the 32-bit section area.
Right. It'll be under the program files x86, not in the other program files. That's where all the 64-bit programs are.
So you're running it on a 64-bit machine, but you're only really utilizing 32-bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that stuff, either the question or somebody commenting on Facebook all the time about Mach 3 won't work with this or won't work with that. And I'm like, yeah, it does.
Yeah, when I purchased Mark 3, I read on their actual website that it wouldn't work on 64. I'm sure that's why a lot of people keep asking the same question.
Oh, well, if they got it on their website, I don't know why they have that on there, because
it is on their website.
Yeah, they actually have it on there.
I mean, I can tell you for a fact, I use it every day.
Right.
Windows 10 and Windows 8. So
right.
It works fine. If I can get my laptops to work. Because like I said, I'm having some issues. That thing's probably still trying to update Windows 10 in there now. But okay. Any other questions? Anything anybody wants to talk about? I do have something else. And I'm probably going to have to pause here for a minute because I don't know. Can you guys hear my stupid dog back here telling me he wants to go out?
Can you hear mine?
Yeah. Let me make Rocky give him his 15 minutes of fame here. He's standing in the doorway, give me the eye, like, come on, Daddy.
What are you waiting for?
Now that I tell you, it's so nice. I got up, well, this morning and yesterday morning, and it's about 50 degrees, and I'm thinking, oh my God, fall's finally got here, because it's been the weather people here in Atlanta have been saying that it's the second hottest summer on record since they've been keeping records. This year has. So I'm so thankful for it finally get cool, because I have got all kinds of work I need to do outside and inside, and I've been kind of putting it off because it's just too dang hot. So what else we got? Anything else? Somebody's saying $1,000 shade tree.
Yeah, about $1,000.
Yeah, I'd say give or take a little, again, and and like you say, it might run more by the time you figure in the Mach 3 if you don't have it, or UC CNC or whatever you end up buying for that. If you're using a laptop that doesn't have parallel port, you got to buy some kind of the CNC motion controller thing, like the UC 100, which I just bought a second one because I got two machines out there now, so I bought another one. And I'm still a big fan of them. I'm not a fan of the UC CNC software. I'm sorry. I know there's some guys that love that stuff. I'm not a fan of it. I'm an old Mach 3 guy, but I do like that UC 100 USB motion controller thing. That I love those things. They work really good. So. I see Jerry Coleman says, I'm sick as a dog. I'm going to bed. No offense, Dave. I hope you get feeling better, Jerry.
Someone's asking if you've tried the steel yet, Dave, from last week's show.
I have not, but somebody on our panel has.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to go after watching the thing last weekend, and it cut all right.
Yeah. I don't have. Well, I suppose I could probably find some steel laying around in the shop somewhere. I do have a big chunk of 6061 3/8 aluminum that I may try to cut something with. I don't know what, but I thought that's another one of my projects on there. I want to give a shout out here to Zach Mandring. I see he's watching live here. Zach, look forward to seeing you next Friday. I understand you're going to be at the meet and greet at Woodcraft next Friday. So I look forward to seeing you and Richard over there. Let's see who else is on here. Is that Drew Oxford, Ox in the Shop? He's on there live.
Ox in the Shop.
Good to see you on here, Drew. Okay, if we don't have any other questions, how are we on time? I know we got kind of a late start. It's about 9:40. I wanted to talk about something else. I hope it everybody else is excited about it. I'm getting excited about it just thinking about it. But anybody that's been around the YouTube community or the woodworking YouTube community, that there are all kinds of some people call them a contest, some people call them the challenge. Brian Gidney over at Summers Woodworking puts out the 2x4 challenge. I think that's going on right now. And he has the birdhouse challenge that he does. I've actually done that once, build a birdhouse. And Laney Shaughnessy always did the whirligig contest. And I think Russ Clarity, I know that Russ Clarity is kind of doing that now. Laney got busy and kind of handed that off to Russ. Russ also does the scroll saw challenge. And I was looking on, I was just looking on YouTube today, and I know Sterling Davis does the pallet upcycle challenge. Steve Carmichael, I think, did the kitchen utensil challenge and a scrap bench. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of different little challenges or contests for the woodworking YouTuber guys. And I got to, I've been thinking about that. There's not really anything that I've ever seen that's a contest or a challenge for us CNC guys. So I was thinking that I would start a, you can call it a challenge, contest, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically, where you would make a project with your CNC. I think what I'm going to do is, and I'm mentioning this now, I know it's only October 1st, but I'm going to call it the CNC Christmas Challenge or something like that, where you create a project using your CNC, using a Christmas theme, and it can be, you could make a wreath for your front door, you could make reindeer and a Santa Claus for the front yard, or you could make ornaments for the tree. I mean, whatever you want to make, doesn't matter. You can make whatever you want, based around a Christmas theme. And I think what we'll do, and like I said, I'm just mentioning this now, even though it's only October 1st, just so everybody can be thinking about what they want to do. I don't have a really firm set of rules yet. I'll post it on the website. In fact, I'll probably post it on both my website, both the CNCsidewinder.com and the GarageWorks CNC.com. I'll probably just post it on both of those. But in other words, and if you're new and don't know how some of these other contests work, what everybody does on most of these other ones is you make a video, try to keep it under 10 minutes long. We don't want anything real super long, but, show the project being, made on your CNC. It'd probably be good if you talked about a little bit about how you're making the project, like what kind of CNC you're using, what kind of bits, because I know those questions will come up in your comment section. People will want to know exactly how you're doing it. And we'll probably officially start this contest. And I don't know about you guys, but I hate when you go into a store, like here it is October 1st. And I know there's stores around here that I could go into right now and they'd already have Christmas decorations out. Oh, that just irritates the fool out of me. So I'm not going to start this contest officially until the day after Thanksgiving, when, by gosh, that's when Christmas ought to start. Let's get Halloween and Thanksgiving out of the way. Then we'll deal with Christmas. So it's going to start on Black Friday, which will be November 25th. It will end on Saturday, December 24th, which is Christmas Eve at 11:59 p.m. So right before Santa Claus comes, you better have this project done and have your video link sent to me. Now, I got to thinking about when we would announce the winners, and looking at my calendar, I see that the show following, and by the way, like I said, December 24th falls on a Saturday, as does December 31st. So Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve fall on a Saturday. So I don't know if we'll be doing a show then or not. We'll kind of play it by ear. We got a little ways to go before we get there. But I know a lot of people probably got better things to do on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve than to watch me. So so we'll see. We may not even have a show that week, but probably I'm thinking we would announce the winner the following Saturday, which would be January 7th. And I'm going to try to get whenever I do little giveaways and stuff, usually the sponsor is just me. I come up with gift cards or whatever, but I'm going to try to contact some different places and see if we can't get some other prizes. If there's anybody out there watching this as a recording that wants to donate something as, a prize, whether it be a gift card or maybe a t-shirt or hat or a coffee mug or, just whatever somebody might want to donate as a prize. We'll try to get some good things lined up. I'll probably pick, and I also want to mention too, anybody here that's on the panel, because I mean, obviously the panel guys all got CNCs. So anybody that wants to do a project and enter a video in this, you can. However, that will exclude you from being a judge. So I will be a judge, and between now and before we start this officially on Black Friday, I'll probably figure out who's not going to do a video and stuff, and get them to help me out with the judging. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and bring that up now, like I said, because give people some time to think about it. And I know there may be one other thing I wanted to mention too. And this is really important to me, because I know there's a lot of people out there that have a CNC and they might go, well, I don't know. I just don't like getting in front of the camera, and I don't upload YouTube videos and, all that stuff. I want everybody to know that this contest or challenge is all about the project. When we do the judging, it's not going to be based on, how polished and shiny and pretty your video is and all that, because I personally don't care about that. When I watch a video, for the content, what they're making. If they happen to have, really fancy movie editing software and put all this cool stuff in it, great. But that's not why I watch them. So I don't want that to discourage anybody that has a CNC and might want to do a project for this, but go, well, I don't know, I wouldn't win because I don't have. No, forget that. It's going to be judged strictly on the project itself. So, that's why I wanted to mention that tonight, so that everybody has time to think about it. If you don't have a YouTube channel, I would assume most people do, but if you don't have a YouTube channel, that'll give you time to sign up and get one. They don't cost anything. Doesn't take much to get one, and that's it. That's what I was going to talk about, I guess. So, like I said, I'll be posting as I come up with the rules. Like I said, we won't start the contest or challenge, whatever we're going to call this, officially until Black Friday. So before then, there will be stuff on the website, and we'll be talking about it some more on the show, I'm sure. Maybe Russ Meadows will have his CNC put together by then. Who knows?
Go Russ.
Maybe that's the challenge.
Right.
I might be a judge. Keep me right.
Well, I'd like to participate, but I don't have to. I'll exclude myself from just to participate, just to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because anybody there that that's on the panel, if you want to do a video and get in the contest or challenge or whatever, I guess I need to figure out what we're going to call. I guess we'll call it the CNC Christmas Challenge. We'll just start calling it a challenge. So,
sounds good to me.
If you want to be involved in that, that's great. Like I said, that's why I wanted to mention it tonight, so we can get it out there and get people talking about it, and see how many entries we can get. And I'll be talking about and posting on both websites as well. As I get sponsors and people that want to donate things, we'll be listing those. But hopefully we can give away, a bunch of stuff. But if not, I'll make it worth everybody's while myself if I have to. But anyway, that's kind of all I had tonight, unless anybody's got something else. I see some folks over there chatting. I see Drew Oxford over there. Ox in the Shop is over there in the chat. Drew, you going to be able to come out to the Woodcraft next Friday? Oh, okay. I don't know if he's gonna make it or not. Well, we'll see. Okay, anybody else got anything? I just hear crickets. Yeah, I don't see any other questions over there. Like I said, I really didn't have a whole lot going on because I wanted to mention the challenge, and I didn't know if that would generate questions or.
Someone was asking the same common question about tooling, but really, as far as tooling is concerned, who knows? I really don't know specifically what he was looking at, whether what end mills we use, bits we use, or
Harbor Freight or eBay.
right.
I just burn them up and throw them away.
There was a question that they had put up there.
Okay, I see somebody here. Let me see if I can get the name. His YouTube thing is GR Fields 39 CNC. Says just completed assembly of the 48x48 GarageWorks CNC. Where to buy the 5-star knob used on the Z-axis stepper motor? You could probably buy one at your local hardware store. The one that I have on mine, I get them from McMaster. Yeah, and they're like, I don't know. I think they're like $3 or something.
It'll cost you more in shipping than the knob.
Yeah, usually what I do is when I order them is, because like you said, I'll buy like 4 or 5 of them just to have around. Yeah, you might be able to find one at like an Ace Hardware or something like that. Just get one that's got a good set screw on it so you can fasten it to that shaft.
I think Gox in the shop was also asking that his something about router skipping or on the y-axis. I haven't had that happen to me. I don't know if he's going too fast or what it is.
Let me scroll back and see if I can find that.
It was quite a bit up.
Yeah, it was quite a ways back. I saw that go by.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, why does my CNC jump some when cutting on the y-axis?
Could be binding on one side and basically losing steps.
Yeah, I mean, just with that little bit of information, it'd be hard to tell. We don't know what he's cutting, what the depth of cut, speed, and all the other variables. You need to know all that.
I saw a post on Facebook that was very similar to this, and the guy was basically cutting a circle, and he was measuring it across the X, measuring it across the Y, and then he was measuring it across 45-degree diagonals. And the 45-degree angles, he was oblong, but on the X and the Y, he was perfectly right on the circle. And the conversation kind of progressed is that doing what you did as far as setting up your second machine there, where you cut out a square and cut a circle. You do two things. You check your x-axis, you check your y-axis, and then you check to see if there's any going on. Because you can get some racking going on, or if your gantry's not been squared to begin with.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's out of square.
It will cut oblong holes, but look good in an X or a Y axis. So we had that problem on the second CNC I built for our shop at work. As the closer I would get to the left-hand side of the machine, we were boring holes for the inserts in the tabletop, and we were getting oblong holes. If we were boring holes on the right side of the machine, they were perfectly round. And what we found was that we over-tightened the tension on the V-groove bearings on the left-hand side. They were literally binding. And so when it tried to move on that side, it wouldn't move the full distance. So we loosened those bearings up and got it so that it would roll freely again. and that fixed the problem.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. You know, a lot of problems can be just the smallest little thing. Like you said, it can be, you know, just one little thing that's not aligned properly that caused just a little bit to hang up. And then you lose a few steps. And then the next thing you know, you're racked and, you know, and then you got all kinds of problems. So I had somebody the other day, I can't remember whether it was Facebook or what, but they contacted me and was talking about a problem. And, you know, I always try to tell people, you know, don't, you know, when you're cutting stuff and you're measuring it and it's not coming out right, and you don't start looking at the settings and the software and all that stuff, because more than likely it's something mechanical. And I said, check your couplings, and, you know, make sure, especially on the y-axis, because you got two of them driving, make sure that one of them hasn't loosened up just a hair. It may have loosened up, you know, it may be tight enough it's still turning, but if it's slipping ever so much, that's going to make everything get off. And he went back and checked, and sure enough, that's what it was. One of them had worked loose. And again, it hadn't worked. You know, they don't just go from really tight to really sloppy. They loosen up gradually. So you look at it and you see the lead screw turning. You may not realize it, but it may be, and it may not be slipping at the lead screw. It may be slipping, and in fact, more than likely, it's slipping on the other half of the coupling because it's against that the shaft of the motor, and there's not really a whole lot to grab it. You got to have that thing pretty snug, so it doesn't loosen up on you. So, but always check anytime you have a problem. Check the simple things first. You know, check the mechanical things, because usually the electronics isn't going to let you down. Yeah, I see Richard answered somebody there about knob. He says, I don't use a knob, I use a pendant. I'm really digging that pendant I got. You know, those two.
Especially after Peter's contribution. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I've been doing these things for 10 years and never used a pendant. So it's been kind of a, I go over to do something the old way and I'm like, wait a minute, I got a pendant. What am I? But now I'm starting to get used to grabbing that pendant off the side of my table there, and I'm really liking that. So yeah, I don't use that knob near as much as I used to. And it does make it really nice too, because being short like I am, if I'm doing something, I'm setting the zero right in the middle of the table, I have a hard time reaching up, grabbing that knob, but I can take my little piece of paper and slide it on the table and use that pendant to jog it down just at a crawl until I snag that paper. And then I know I've got my zero set. So it's a lot easier than having to reach the knob on top of the axis there.
Yeah, once you get a pendant, you very rarely ever touch the keyboard again. And you can do it blind as well. You don't need to look at the keyboard to see what keys you're hitting. You know where they are on the pendant. It's so easy to use.
Yeah. I want to make a comment. Somebody posted here, Nathan Longfellow. He made a comment here, and he says, the benefit to those little problems is that they really help you to get to know your machine. And that's a very true statement. Yeah. Because if everything runs right all the time, something goes wrong, then you don't know what to do. But yeah, always start with the simple stuff, guys.
Truly the benefit of building your own machine, or at least assembling it.
Absolutely.
Create and solve your own problems.
Okay, I want to, this thing I can get it. Here we go. Southern Ginger, which is Zach Manring. He says, hey, Dave, I don't want to plug anything, but I'm about to start a CNC series on my channel that focuses on experimentation. So that should be interesting. And if you're not subscribed to Zach over at Southern Ginger, while you're doing nothing right now, just go over there and subscribe to him because that's a cool channel.
Yeah, I subscribe to him, and in fact, I met him at the Atlanta Woodworking Show.
Yeah. Well, I've looked back at the pictures of the woodworking show in Atlanta, and I see now that I know what Zach looks like, I see pictures and I go, yeah, he was sitting right next to Steve Carmichael. But I guess I didn't know who he was or something, and we never got introduced or something. But hopefully he'll be able to make it to the Woodcraft grand opening next Friday, and I'll be able to meet him in person there. I have talked to him on the phone before, so.
I was hoping that the Video Woodworkers YouTube group would post a calendar or the next woodworking show that they were going to be at, but I don't see anything going on their website.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be, of course, I'm going to the meet and greet next Friday at Woodcraft in Lithia Springs. And then I'm also going to go to the Klingspor Extravaganza. And that's in Hickory, North Carolina. I've never been to that. I understand Sterling Davis goes to that all the time. I think he said he lives like 30 minutes from there. I don't know if Sterling was on here tonight or not. I don't see him. But I think he goes to that show. And if you go to the website, just Google Klingspor Extravaganza, the pictures they show of past shows, it reminds me so much of the Atlanta show. It looks like it's got the same kind of vendors and the same kind of feel there. It's not one of the real big shows like IWF was in Atlanta. I didn't even go to that. But yeah, I'm going to go there. Probably, I think it's, let me get straight on the dates here. It's Friday and Saturday, October 28th and October 29th. And that's in Hickory, North Carolina. So if you're anywhere near there and want to come by, let's see, Oxen Shop says, where is that show at again? It's Klingspor Extravaganza, and it's in Hickory, North Carolina. So yeah, I'm planning on going to that. And one of the reasons I'm going to that is when I was at, so a lot of you guys may not know this, but when I was at the show in April, Melinda was there with me. Her and I went together to the show up there, and she ended up buying a big old bandsaw from one of the vendors up there, and they have asked her to be I don't know what you call it, but a demo person, I guess, at that show. That's one of the reasons why I'm going, is because she mentioned it to me, and I go, well, I never heard of that. And I looked it up and I said, yeah, I'll go to that. And that's not that far, and looks like a good show. But yeah, Melinda will be there demoing. She'll be kind of like the Alex Snodgrass of the Jet band. So I think it's a Jet is what she's going to be.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Okay. But I think she'll be the female Alex Snodgrass, I guess. Okay. I see another question here. Somebody asking me, did I try to mill steel yet from last week's show? I have not. Peter has. He's got a nice video. In fact, Peter, I think he was cutting steel while we were all asleep, because he jumped right on that and did it before we even got up the next morning, I think. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to go to bed like you guys did.
Yeah, I probably will get around to trying to cut steel just because it's been done on an X-Carve, and it's been done on Peter's machine, and
It's seeming that you can cut steel easier than you can cut aluminum because of the low melting temperature of aluminum.
Yeah, and that I never really thought about that, because I was always thinking, well, you can cut softer metals like aluminum and brass and stuff, but still you got to really be careful. But I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I've got some end mills out there that are nice and sharp. I'll give it a whirl. Okay, we got a question here. I think I know the answer to this. Richard or Peter, any of you guys want to help me out on this one? Jeff Robinson says, will VCarve run under Linux? I don't believe it will. I think it's just Windows.
It might. Most of their of his downloads at scorchworks.com are open source. You can download the source code for his files. I know he puts up an install version for Windows, but I pretty much ignore the other two listings that are on his page. He may have a Linux-based program.
Okay. Well, Jeff, see, when I see VCarve, I just assumed he was talking about Vectrix VCarve Pro, but I think you're probably talking about the Scorchworks. Yeah. So I don't know which one he's talking about, but
yeah, because they have an F-Engrave, which also does V-carving.
Yeah. No, like I said, I don't really know. You're more the expert on that, Richard. I don't really know anything about that, but I'm pretty sure that VCarve Pro by Vectric, I don't believe it will. But I don't know which one he's talking about. He just says VCarve. So
yeah, when I think VCarve, I'm thinking free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the one who can afford the Vectrix software.
And somebody else says, oh, Patrick, he says, Dave, do you have a paper calendar on your wall? Patrick, I got one of those from back when I was working. The steel companies would always come in and give everybody the big calendars that got the whole 12 months on it. So that's what I got hanging on my wall over there. That's why I keep looking over there to get the dates. Matt Peel also says, Dave, what about photo V carving? And I guess he's asking about Linux. Will it run under? I don't think any of the Vectric products will. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I don't believe they will.
Anyone watched my video on my channel of the Big Buck Bank? If you get a chance, check that out, because I used Scorchworks program to do the dollar bills on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And that does, photographs or whatever you want. I
would kind of recommend to anybody who is on a really tight budget, because I know that, let's face it, you can't just take a couple $100 and build you a CNC. It takes a little bit of money to do it right. And so, it might be, a good idea for, some people to go the free route with either the Scorchworks products or whatever else might be out there. Just till they get the hang of their machine. And then, then if they feel like whatever free software they might be using, that it's, that it's not working, or they want to do more, something that the software won't do, then start saving your pennies and get the other. You don't have to, that's what I love about hobby CNC. At least to me, I think a lot of people, they get excited and they want to hurry up and get the machine built and get it running and get all the software and stuff. And to go from step one all the way to full blown running with nice software, it takes a pretty good chunk of change.
Sure does.
But if you just, get what you can when you can, and like I said, if you get your machine built, I wouldn't, and I would encourage people to, if you're trying to get your machine built and you're going, I don't know, them lead screws are pretty expensive, maybe I'll just buy a threaded rod. No,
don't go there.
Don't do that. Just wait and save up some more money, or, do something. Don't skimp on the wrong things. That's what I've always said.
My answer to that would be go chain drive, but that's just my choice.
Yeah, chain drive would be probably a little less expensive, but like that's not that the part that drives the machine. That's not where you want to skimp. It's really not. Like I said, if you can't get it all built, just keep waiting and getting save up a little more money and get something else, and then do that, and then wait a little longer to get the software, or whatever, or get the free stuff and use it to. Not everybody's got deep pockets, and or some people are just frugal, So,
that's. I find myself not wanting to spend money unnecessarily. So I don't know if that's frugal or not. But once you start with a program, Russ Clarity says the same thing about Corel Draw. It's like it's easy to learn, and once you get used to it, you don't want to go to anything else. So I use a lot of the Scorchworks programs, and I've used all three of his programs. They all work excellently. Depends on what you want to do, and it does take a little bit of learning because they're not something that comes with a whole instruction manual. You're going to have to hunt around a little bit and figure things out and experiment with it. But experimenting with something that didn't cost you anything in the first place is only going to cost you time. And it's like building a CNC. It's going to take you some time. But once you learn how to build a machine and how to play with the software, there's no need to spend big bucks.
For me, it's buy a decent motor driver combination. Sort of first priority. You can take that to your next machine as you upgrade. But if you buy rubbish for that type of thing, you've either got to throw it away, or you're just going to have misery. It's just not going to work well for you, and you're not going to enjoy the hobby.
Right.
Is Peter's mic breaking up as bad as I think it is?
Yep.
Yeah, it's breaking up.
It is. I understood a little bit of it, though.
I couldn't get much of it.
Okay, so we got a question in the chat room. Well, what about touch probes?
Yeah, I see that. What about touch probes?
Again, scorchworks.com. He actually used the program. Somebody was asking on Facebook whether or not there was a leveling program available to compensate for his table not being flat. And you can use this Scorchworks program for doing that. But he did the other thing. What he did was he used a piece of tinfoil and a bit in his router and used that as his probe. He contoured the face of a pumpkin and then used his CNC to carve it.
Yeah, I saw that video. It's pretty cool.
So again, a free pro program.
Yep. We got somebody from Belgium watching. Awesome. I'm sitting here reading, trying to read some of these questions. Of course, I'm having to do it on my phone. That's why it's taking me so long to read this.
I'm just surprised some people not wanting to saying not being able to buy the V-Carve Pro when I'm over here wanting to get Aspire. And now that's expensive.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. V-Carve Pro is actually I saw a comment in somewhere says nobody's talking about V-Carve Pro desktop. I don't know anybody that has it. I'm still using the 7.5. I haven't even gone to the newer stuff where they split it up with the VCarve Pro and desktop. But the VCarve Pro or VCarve Pro, what is it called? I guess the main one is what, is it $699?
It's $700.
Yeah, 700.
$700. And all I could, I know $700, money doesn't grow on trees and stuff like that. But I can tell you that back when I bought it years ago when it was like version 4.6, and it didn't do near the stuff that it does now. And because they've added a lot of features since then. But I can remember I was whining about having to pay back then. I think I paid $600. I think it was $599, and then I bundled photo VCarve with it, which they knock off a few bucks or something like that. But I can remember whining about having to pay $600 for that, that stuff, almost 10 years ago. But I can tell you that it is the stuff. It's so easy to learn. It's so, that's why they're doing so well. And it's, you can't mention VCarve Pro as somebody doesn't know what you're talking about. Somebody uses it or, it's really good stuff. And I'm not, I don't make any money for bragging on it or anything like that. I just talk about stuff that I like, stuff that I use and know that it works. And I've been using it for a long time. And I can remember after I got it and spent, even just a little bit of time with it, I thought, here I was whining about spending $600 for it. And, it's probably worth twice that to me. But, and all this time I've been able to do a wrap text or something like that. And I never even did it. So I really wasn't even, and there's probably still a lot of things with that software that I haven't even used. But
what I like too is that they'll, let's say I do decide to buy a Spire, they'll deduct what I've already paid for VCarve Pro. I don't know how long
I think they prorate it.
Yeah.
For how long you've had it.
So I mean that's pretty cool in itself.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
The VCarve Pro, I bought when I bought mine, I bought the bundle VCarve Pro 8.5 and the Photo VCarve as a bundle, and I paid $800. That doing it that way saved me $50.
Yeah.
So it was worth it.
Yeah, and like I said, I would imagine, Juan, that here we always gripe about a Spire being $2,000, but I'd almost think that by the time you get that and get to doing some of the things it will do, you probably go, man, I'm surprised they don't ask more than that for it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Very true.
Well, I tell you what, according to what Russ was saying, that Aspire and what I was reading, it's basically all the programs in one. And as far as I can tell, it does everything. It's really all you need.
That's pretty much my understanding, that if you have Aspire, you don't really need the other packages.
I played with a demo and I really like how you can pick up each vector independently and make basically a 3D.
Right.
I only did half of it, not a whole 3D object, but it'll move whatever vector you want and smooth it whichever way you want to do it. It's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, guys, it looks like the questions have slacked off. They're talking amongst themselves over there, and we're at 10:21, so we managed to make up for that 5 or 6 minutes we were late. Somehow I had a suspicion we might do that, but anyway, I guess we're going to wrap this one up then. Like I said, I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about tonight, other than I did want to mention the CNC challenge. I don't know what if you guys over there in the chat can make a comment. What do y'all think about that? You think that's going to be a good deal or what? You always have that 20-second delay or so.
Right.
Wait
Yeah.
from the time you say something before somebody.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, buddy, Southern Ginger.
Okay, good.
Do it, Paul.
Let's
Can't.
do it. Okay. Well, I figured what the heck, we might as well. They got a challenge for everything else these days, but I kind of, there's been, and I know the challenges, they don't really care if you use the CNC and stuff, but there's never been like a really, a contest or a challenge just for us CNC people. So I think it's about time we did that.
Yeah.
Let's everybody show them what we can do here with a CNC. So, okay, yeah, looks like we're getting a positive response over there. So good. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Peter, always good to have you on here all the way from New Zealand.
Thanks for the invitation.
And Rich, Russ, Juan, good to have you on here. We've had
Always.
Looks like we've had another good crowd. We've had about 50, 60 viewers pretty much all night. So challenge accepted, Paul Lawrence says. Good for you, Paul. That's good. And I mean, I know a lot of people with CNCs, it's not probably really something they're going to have to think about a whole lot because they probably are making gifts for their wives or girlfriends and, family and stuff. Anyway,
They better be able to make a better stick man than I can.
You need to
I
put
think,
your CNC together.
I don't know about you guys on the panel here, but I think if Russ just does a video and shows that he's got his machine together, we should count that as a Christmas project.
Put a bow
Just
on.
kidding, Russ. Just kidding, Russ.
My son-in-law has been harping on that machine. He actually wants the thing so bad he can't stand it. And
I got more of them.
I think he got dropped.
Oh, did he get dropped?
I think so.
Yeah, he must have.
Oh, no, there he is.
Or else it just shocked him. You back with us, Russ?
I never left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I got more of them if he's wanting one.
I told him about it. He came and actually felt of it. He said, "Damn, this stuff is tough. It's strong." I said, "Yeah, it ain't no weak piece of crap like you got."
What's he got?
Oh, one of them DIY homemade things that came out of a 3D printer, some kind of stuff like that. It is not the quality of this one, believe me.
Yeah.
And he had to go out and he wanted to do an all-nighter and try to get it put together because he says, "I want to see it work." I said, "Well, I do too, but I'm gonna do it myself."
Yeah.
Go on. I told him if anything ever happens to me, then it's going to his son, who's only 4 years old. I said, "You'll get it that way."
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. I guess we're going to get out of here. It's almost 10:30, so appreciate all the folks out there watching. See you, Drew. I see Drew Oxford's leaving. Zach, Jeff Robinson, Tommy G, been over there.
Tommy G.
Matt Peel, Paul Lawrence, Jim Sinicola, Rob Schuster, Jerry Brand. We had a bunch of folks over there tonight. Good crowd tonight. So, all right. I apologize for the crappy lighting and the junky room here where my office is. Hopefully, maybe by the time I get off the show right now, my laptop will be finished updating. So I don't know. I'll make sure I plug that in and get the update. And usually I do. I usually try to plug it in a couple hours before the show just in case it's going to do one of those things. But man, it just shut down and came back on. Next thing I know, it's doing like a major update.
Mine did it too tonight. It was installing 20,000 lines of code or something like that.
Oh,
Had to
yeah.
wait like 15, 20 minutes for the thing to start working.
Well, when it got to be about 10 till 9 and the thing still said about 20%, I'm thinking this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to go to plan B quick. So that's why I came in here to my desktop. So fortunately, it works well, and I don't have. I'm actually on Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi is right next to it, so it works really good here.
Yeah.
What was that, Russ?
I said it's all about the lighting.
Yeah, I know. Well, mine sucks tonight. I have to say that. Just got that little shiny spot on my head right
I
here.
see that.
Anyway, guys, again, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for all you guys over there in the chat.
Remember the thumbs up.
Yeah, liking or thumbs up or subscribe, whatever. Do it all on your way out there, and put your thinking caps on and be thinking about the CNC Christmas challenge. Like I said, be looking for stuff. I'll post stuff probably on Facebook and on both websites and all that, and we'll keep mentioning it here on the show. So it's only October 1st, so surely by the time Thanksgiving gets done, somebody should have some good ideas on what kind of stuff they can make. So, all right, appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all take care.
See you.